Welcome to this VBA tutorial by VBAfinance.com. From Excel, we access the VBA editor. Here on the left, you can see the Project Explorer. A project contains the VBA objects associated to a workbook. It can be a VBA code or user forms. The VBA is written in what we call a module, which are just like a text file that contains code. To create a module, we right-click on VBA Project, Insert, and click on Module. So the editor displays here, and we are going to write the module content. On the left, we can see the property panel of the module, where we can change its name. From the Excel grid, a way to use VBA code is to call a sub. To define a sub, we write directly in the module editor. We write the keyword sub, then the name of our sub and the parameters in parentheses. Parameters are values that we send to the sub. These values are used by the sub to be executed. We can write this sub to do any actions. For example, here we write a sub that will have two numerical parameters. We will calculate the difference between these two numbers and display the result on the top left of our worksheet. So let's create this sub. Let's call it subtract, and in parentheses are two input parameters, value 1 as double and value 2 as double. Here, as double means that the values we send to our sub are decimal values. Automatically, the software detects that we created a new sub and has added the end sub keyword, so the content of our sub will be between these two lines of code. Now, let's go into details and write the sub content. We want to display the result on the top in the A1 cell. To do so, we will write range A1.value. So this line says to our program that we target the A1 cell. Here, .value indicates that we want to change its value. We could have modified another setting, such as the .format condition or the font type using .font. Here we write .value equals value 1 minus value 2 and press Enter. Now our sub is ready to use. Let's try it directly on Excel. To test this sub, we create another sub that defines the input values for the subtract sub. We will call it subtest. By the way, I changed their sub name to avoid confusions with the default Excel functions. To call our procedure, we use the call keyword, and we set, for example, 150. Then, we will launch this test sub using the arrow button, Run Sub. Once we click, there is no error message and the results display in A1, as we expected. Here is another way to use VBA through the functions. The main difference between a function and a sub is that a function will return a value, which means its result will be displayed directly in a cell just by calling the function from the formula bar. Let's go back to the VBA editor. The function syntax is quite similar. Instead of writing sub, we write function sub stf to differentiate it from our sub. We have the same input parameters. The only difference is that we will declare the output type value. Here, it will be double. We press Enter. Like on the sub, here, end function displays. Instead of defining the cell where the result will be displayed, we write sub stf equals value 1 minus value 2. Here, the value of the difference will be the output value of our function. To use it, let's go back to our worksheet. We select any cell, let's say A3. In the formula bar, let's write equals. Here, we can see that Excel detects the function that we created, so now we can use it like any other basic Excel function. Now we have to choose the parameter value for sub stf. It can be two cells. Let's pick these two. We press Enter, and we can see the result that displays here, in the cell where we modified the formula bar. Now we know how to write a simple program in VBA. In the next tutorial, we will learn how to manipulate variables. If you liked that video, Feel free to follow us on our channel or go directly to VBAfinance.com to find more interesting content about VBA Excel for finance.